The battlefield of space was not silent. It was filled with the hum of engines, the distant crackle of energy weapons, and the constant chatter of alien voices on open channels. Across the dark emptiness, dozens of massive alien warships floated in formation, their glowing hulls shining like stars. They were the pride of the galaxy, built by empires that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Every race had gathered. The Krell with their heavy destroyers. The Zern with their long, spear-like cruisers. The Volari with their fast, sleek strike ships. Each vessel was enormous, filled with soldiers, weapons, and endless supplies. Their combined fleet was considered unstoppable, a force so strong that no single world could resist it. And then, the human ship arrived. At first, no one noticed. It was small, almost tiny compared to the massive alien warships. Its grey metal hull looked plain and unimpressive. No golden markings. No ancient banners. No terrifying weapons glowing on its surface. Just a simple human warship, drifting into the middle of giants. The aliens laughed. "This is the human fleet," one Krell commander sneered, his reptilian face twisting into amusement. "One little ship. That cannot be serious." On another channel, a Volari officer chuckled. "Perhaps it is a transport. Maybe they got lost. Do they even know what a war looks like?" The laughter spread from ship to ship, commander to commander. To them, it was a joke. Humanity was a new species, still young in galactic terms, with barely 100 years of space travel. What could they possibly bring to this battlefield? But while the aliens laughed, the human ship stayed quiet. Inside the small vessel, the crew sat at their stations, calm and focused. The captain, a man with sharp eyes and a voice of steel, gave no reaction to the insults coming through the comms. His crew did not speak back. They did not argue. They only prepared. An alien broadcast echoed across the battlefield. "Humans, your presence here is meaningless. You cannot stand against the great fleets. Retreat before you embarrass yourselves further." Still, the human ship did not move. The aliens continued to mock. Some ships even turned their weapons away, deciding the humans were not worth wasting energy on. To them, the human warship was not a threat. It was a shadow, a toy, an unwanted guest at the table of giants. But one alien officer did not laugh. A young Zern technician leaned close to his commander. His sharp insectoid eyes studied the human ship carefully. He noticed something strange. The energy readings were not normal. The small vessel carried unusual power signatures, spikes of energy that did not match any known design. "Commander," the officer whispered, "this ship is not what it seems. Its systems are different. We should be cautious." The commander scoffed. "Cautious? Against that scrap? Do not waste my time." But the young officer could not shake the feeling. Something about the human ship felt wrong. It was too calm. Too quiet. Like a predator waiting for the perfect moment. The fleet shifted into position. Dozens of alien ships prepared to open fire on their enemy across the battlefield, an enemy force that waited on the far side of the system. The real war was about to begin. And yet, many eyes still lingered on the human warship. The humans did not move. They did not power their weapons. They only drifted slowly forward, as if daring the galaxy to keep laughing. Inside the command deck of the Krell flagship, the commander smirked. "Look at them. Fragile little creatures. They think they can play in the arena of gods." On the human ship, the captain finally spoke. His voice was calm, steady, unshaken. "Activate the systems." A quiet hum filled the ship. The walls vibrated slightly as hidden engines came online. Lights flickered across the control panels. Deep within the hull, something ancient, something powerful, awakened. Outside, the alien sensors began to react. Spikes of energy. Unknown codes. Readings that made no sense. "What is this?" an alien officer shouted. "The human ship is changing." The laughter started to fade. One by one, the great fleets turned their scanners toward the small vessel. What they saw was impossible. A ship that had looked so weak, so plain, was suddenly alive with energy. Its shields flickered with a light unseen in any alien design. Its engines glowed brighter, bending the space around it. The battlefield grew silent. For the first time, doubt spread among the alien fleets. "Impossible," whispered a Volari captain. "How can such a small ship carry this power?" The human ship did not answer. It only moved forward, steady and unshaken. like a storm gathering on the horizon. The young Zern officer felt his mandibles tighten. His instinct screamed at him. This was not a joke. This was not a mistake. This was something new, something dangerous. And as the first flashes of battle lit up the far side of space, he whispered words that none of his commanders wanted to hear. We should not underestimate the humans. But it was too late. The human warship had arrived. And nothing on the battlefield would ever be the same again. The human warship drifted in silence, its strange glow pulsing faintly in the dark. All around it, the alien fleets were still laughing. They saw the sudden energy spikes, but they refused to believe it meant anything serious. To them, humans were too young, too inexperienced, too fragile to matter in galactic war. On the Krell flagship, Commander Rava stood tall, his reptilian armor gleaming under the lights. His jaws spread wide as he laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Look at the little machine. It tries to shine like us. It pretends to be strong. Around him, his officers joined in the laughter. For them, the sight of the human ship was entertainment before the real battle. On another ship, the Volari captain leaned back in his chair, his silver wings twitching. Perhaps the humans only came to watch, he said with a smirk. Maybe they will send messages back to their world, telling stories of great alien power. His crew chuckled, agreeing with every word. The battlefield comms were full of mockery. Lines like fragile ship, toy vessel, floating coffin filled the airwaves. It was a chorus of insults aimed at humanity. But not every alien was laughing. Deep inside a Zern cruiser, a young technician stared at his console with growing unease. His insect-like fingers tapped the glowing screen, running scans again and again. The numbers made no sense. The human ship's energy field was unstable, like a storm ready to break. He turned quickly to his commander. Sir, I am detecting patterns I have never seen before. The human ship is not standard. Its shield harmonics are. The commander raised a clawed hand, silencing him. Enough. Do not let the humans live in your head. That ship is nothing. But, sir. Nothing, the commander barked, his mandibles clicking in anger. Do not waste your mind on children. The young officer lowered his head, but inside, his fear grew stronger. Across the fleets, the mocking continued. Ships turned their sensors away, no longer caring about the humans. Most believed the humans would be the first to die when the real battle began. Some even joked about betting on how fast the human ship would explode. Yet inside the human vessel, there was no laughter. The crew sat in silence, their faces calm, their eyes focused. Each officer at their station worked with quiet precision. The captain stood at the center, his arms behind his back, his gaze fixed on the stars. He heard the insults. He heard the laughter. But none of it mattered. His crew was ready. The ship was ready. And when the time came, the galaxy would see the truth. The tension grew as the alien fleets prepared for their first strike against the enemy across the battlefield. Engines roared, weapons charged, and ships shifted into formation. The war was seconds away from beginning. And still, the human ship drifted forward. For some aliens, this strange calm was unnerving. On a Volari scout ship, an officer frowned. Captain, the humans are not afraid. Why? Because they are fools, the captain replied quickly. But even as he spoke, he felt a small shiver of doubt. On the Krell flagship, Commander Rava narrowed his eyes at the glowing human ship. The strange light around it was brighter now, spreading slowly across its hull. His smile faded just a little. Strange, he muttered. Still, he pushed the thought aside. Surely, it was nothing. But for the young Zern officer, the fear refused to fade. His screens showed more spikes, more surges of energy building inside the human ship. He knew what this meant. The vessel was hiding something, something dangerous. He tried again. Commander, if we do not prepare, if we do not. Silence, his commander snapped. The humans cannot touch us. We are the Zern. We are eternal. Now hold your post. The officer obeyed, but his heart pounded. His eyes never left the human ship glowing faintly in the distance. Minutes passed. The alien fleets grew restless. Their weapons were hot, their soldiers eager. The enemy force on the far side of the system was ready. War was about to explode across the stars. And yet, eyes kept drifting back to the human ship. Some captains ignored it. Others watched with suspicion. A few, the clever ones, felt a strange weight pressing in their chests. What if the humans were not weak? The thought was dangerous. The thought was forbidden. But it was there, like a shadow creeping into the minds of warriors who once laughed without fear. The human ship, small and silent, became the center of the battlefield without firing a single shot. And then, something happened that made the laughter die. The ship's shields flickered once more, but this time they glowed with a deep blue fire. The glow spread outward, wrapping the vessel in a layer of light that bent space itself. Alien sensors screamed warnings. Readings shot off the charts. "What is happening?" a Volari officer gasped. "The humans, they are activating something," another whispered. The young Zern officer's heart nearly stopped. He had been right. He knew it now. And he also knew something worse. This was only the beginning. The battlefield fell into uneasy silence. No more laughter. No more jokes. Only the growing whisper of doubt spreading through the fleets. The humans had not spoken a word. They had not fired a weapon. But already, the galaxy was beginning to fear them. And fear, once born, does not die easily. The first crack in alien confidence had appeared. And soon, that crack would break the battlefield wide open. The battlefield was ready. Alien fleets stretched across the stars, their massive warships shining with power. Engines glowed, weapons hummed, and thousands of alien soldiers waited for the order to fire. On one side, the great coalition of alien empires. On the other, their hated enemy force, gathered like shadows on the horizon. But in the center of it all, the small human warship floated quietly. Every alien expected it to be destroyed first. Many were already placing bets on how quickly it would vanish in flames. They saw no danger in its grey hull, no threat in its silent movement. To them, it was only a fragile toy drifting into a storm of giants. The order came. Fire! Dozens of alien ships unleashed their first strike. Bright beams of plasma, streams of burning light, and missiles faster than comets shot across the void. The battlefield lit up like a second sun. The enemy fleet answered, their weapons clashing with the aliens in an explosion of fire and chaos. The war had begun. And in the middle of that storm, the human warship was caught in the crossfire. Energy blasts slammed into its hull. Missiles exploded against its shields. To the alien eyes watching, the small ship should have been torn apart instantly. Many laughed again, expecting to see it shatter. But the laughter never came. Because the human ship did not break. Its shields flared with brilliant blue fire, stronger than anyone thought possible. Each hit was absorbed, each explosion swallowed by the strange glowing barrier. The little ship remained steady, refusing to fall. Alien commanders stared in disbelief. What is that shield?" one Krell officer growled. "No ship of that size can withstand such firepower." "Impossible," whispered a Volari captain. "Their energy core should have collapsed already." Yet the human ship held firm. Then it moved. With a sudden burst of speed, the vessel darted forward, cutting through the chaos like a blade. Its engines bent space, leaving ripples of light in its wake. It was faster than any cruiser, more agile than any fighter. The aliens had never seen a warship move like this. Inside the human ship, the captain gave his order in a calm voice. "Target acquired. Fire!" A single shot burst from the warship's cannon. It was small compared to the massive alien weapons, just a beam of concentrated energy. But when it struck, it tore through an enemy cruiser like paper. The alien ship exploded instantly, its wreckage scattering into the void. Silence spread across the battlefield. No one had expected it. No one had believed the humans could destroy a warship with one strike. But the truth was now floating among the stars, flaming debris of a vessel that had once been called unstoppable. The aliens stared, shocked. "That was not possible," one officer whispered. "A trick," another shouted. "It must be a trick." But it was no trick. The humans had fired again. Another precise shot. Another massive alien ship destroyed. And then a third. The laughter that once filled the comms was gone. In its place came fear. The alien fleets that had mocked the small warship now scrambled to understand what was happening. "Focus fire on the humans," a Krell commander roared. "Destroy that ship." Dozens of cannons turned. Missiles locked on. Plasma beams lit up the void, all directed at the tiny vessel. But the human warship danced through it. It twisted. It spun. It moved in ways alien pilots could not predict. It was as if the humans knew where the attacks would land before they were even fired. Every blast missed. Every missile failed. And while the great alien fleets wasted fire, the humans kept striking, each shot finding its target, each strike destroying another warship. The young Zern officer who had warned his commander felt his chest tighten. His hands trembled over the console. "I told you," he whispered, his voice shaking. "I told you they were not weak." His commander did not answer. He was too busy watching his fleet fall apart. The battlefield was changing. The humans, mocked and underestimated, had proven their strength with a single strike. And now, ship by ship, they were rewriting the rules of war. The aliens could no longer deny the truth. This was no joke. This was the beginning of something far more dangerous. As the wreckage of destroyed ships drifted across the void, whispers spread through the fleets. For the first time in generations, the great empires felt fear. Fear of a species they had once ignored. Fear of humans. And in the silence that followed the first strike, one thought echoed across the minds of every commander. If this is only the beginning, what comes next? The battlefield was burning. Wreckage of alien warships floated in the dark, glowing like dying stars. Fires flickered across broken hulls, and escape pods drifted helplessly into the void. The first strike of the humans had shattered the silence of arrogance. For the first time, the great fleets of the galaxy were afraid. Commanders shouted across comms, demanding answers. How had one tiny human warship destroyed cruisers that had survived centuries of war? How could a species so young, so fragile, build a weapon capable of tearing through shields thought to be unbreakable? None of them had an answer. But inside the human vessel, the truth was known. The ship's command deck was calm. The crew worked with precision, their voices steady, their movements sharp. No one celebrated the victories. No one laughed. They only continued their mission. At the center stood the captain, his eyes locked on the screens that showed the panicked alien fleets. His face was calm, but in his voice there was steel. "Maintain focus," he said. "They still don't understand what they are facing. That is our advantage." The crew nodded. Deep within the ship, hidden systems pulsed with light. Massive energy cores hummed, feeding power into weapons and shields unlike anything else in the galaxy. Along the inner walls, alien technology was fused with human design. Strange coils, crystal matrices, and hybrid reactors that glowed with unnatural light. This ship was not ordinary. It was humanity's secret project. Years ago, while the galaxy had ignored Earth, humans had been watching. They had seen the great empires fight endless wars. They had seen how arrogant and blind the aliens were. And they had learned. Humans had stolen technology where they could. They had traded, they had spied, they had scavenged from battlefields others left behind. Every piece of alien science they touched, they reshaped with human creativity. Every weakness they found, they turned into strength. And now, all of it was inside this single warship. The captain looked at the glowing control panels. "They think we are small because we are new," he said quietly. "But being new means we adapt. We are not trapped by old traditions. We are not blind to change." His words carried across the command deck. The crew understood. They were not just fighting for victory. They were fighting to prove humanity's place among the stars. Meanwhile, on the alien side, confusion was spreading like fire. The Krell commander slammed his fists against his chair. How can a human ship resist so much firepower? What kind of shield is this? A nervous officer answered. "The readings are unstable. It does not match any known pattern. It bends energy in ways we do not understand." On a Volari ship, a captain stared at his sensors. They move faster than light curves allow. It's like their engines predict space itself. And on the Zern cruiser, the young officer who had been ignored leaned forward, his eyes wide. "It is not their size," he whispered. "It is what is inside. The humans have built something new." But no one listened. Panic was stronger than reason. The alien fleets regrouped, forming tighter formations. Their commanders tried to give courage to their crews, promising that sheer numbers would crush the humans. But behind every order, there was hesitation. Because deep down, they knew the truth. Numbers meant nothing if every shot missed and every strike was answered with precision death. The human ship moved again. Its weapons flared, tearing through another enemy cruiser. Debris scattered into the void. Each strike was perfect. Each shot was final. And still, the aliens did not know how. On board the human vessel, the secret systems kept humming. Experimental AI tracked enemy movements within human speed, predicting attacks before they were fired. Hybrid weapons pierced shields by bending energy frequencies, slipping through defenses like a blade through water. Every piece of the ship was designed to counter alien power. And the aliens had no idea how much more the humans were still holding back. The captain watched the enemy ships fall and finally allowed himself a thin smile. "They laugh at what they do not understand," he said. "But soon they will learn. Soon they will see." The young helmsman turned to him. "Sir, do we reveal everything?" "Not yet," the captain replied. His voice was calm, but his eyes were cold. "Let them think this is all we have. Let their fear grow." And it did. Across the battlefield, alien ships hesitated. Some held back their fire. Others pulled away from the human warship, no longer eager to face it head-on. Whispers spread from commander to commander, fleet to fleet. "Maybe this ship is not alone. What if the humans built more? What if Earth has a fleet of these hidden somewhere?" Fear spread faster than fire. And with every passing minute, the human ship's secret technology remained a mystery to its enemies. But the humans knew. They had taken the arrogance of the galaxy and turned it into their greatest weapon. Their warship was proof that humanity was not weak, not foolish, not a joke. It was proof that humans could adapt faster, build smarter, and strike harder than anyone had ever imagined. And this was only the beginning. The battlefield was changing, and for the first time in history, the galaxy had to face a terrifying truth. Humans had arrived. And their hidden power was about to change everything. The battlefield that once echoed with laughter now echoed with silence. Alien fleets, once confident and proud, moved with hesitation. Their great formations, perfect lines of cruisers and destroyers, now felt fragile under the shadow of the small human warship. The airwaves, once filled with jokes and mockery, now carried whispers of fear. Every commander wanted answers. None had them. On the Krell flagship, Commander Rava slammed his clawed hand against the console. "How can this be? One ship should not hold this much power." His voice cracked with frustration. No one dared to answer him. His officers stared at their screens, watching the human vessel glide across the battlefield like a predator in calm water. It moved with confidence. It moved with purpose. And wherever it moved, alien ships fell. The humans were not firing constantly. They were precise. One shot, one kill. Then silence. It was a rhythm that shook the fleets to their core. Against thousands of alien guns, the humans answered with patience, and still, they won. On a Volari scout ship, fear crept into the voices of the crew. "They're choosing their targets," one whispered. "They're watching us, deciding who dies next." The captain tried to remain calm, but even his silver wings trembled. He had never seen a warship fight like this. Fast. Clever. Predictable to no one but itself. And everywhere the humans struck, panic spread wider. Some alien ships began to pull back, drifting farther from the front lines. Others fired wildly, their aim broken by fear. Missiles exploded in empty space. Energy beams cut across the void, missing their marks. Discipline was breaking. The humans noticed. Inside the small warship, the captain watched the enemy movements with sharp eyes. His voice remained steady, almost calm. "They are losing control. They fight with fear now. That is when they are weakest." The crew obeyed without hesitation. Their hands moved quickly across glowing panels. The AI aboard the ship hummed quietly, calculating, predicting. Every alien mistake was recorded. Every opening was stored. The humans struck again. A Zern destroyer, proud and armored, fired a full barrage. The human ship slipped between the blasts, weaving like a shadow. It came close, so close that the destroyer's crew could see it with their own eyes through the viewing ports. Then, a single human shot pierced the destroyer's heart. The Zern ship exploded, and its fiery wreck drifted through the battlefield. The young Zern officer on a nearby ship gripped his console. His warning had been ignored. His commander had mocked the humans. Now, his commander's ship was gone, burning wreckage swallowed by the dark. Fear rose in his throat. But inside that fear, there was also respect. "The humans," he whispered to himself, "they fight like no other." Across the battlefield, other alien officers began to feel the same. The humans were not strong because of numbers. They were not strong because of tradition. They were strong because they fought differently. Unpredictably. They broke every rule of galactic war. And that made them terrifying. On the Krell flagship, one officer leaned close to Commander Rava. His voice was low, almost shaking. "Sir, if one human ship can do this, what if they built more?" The thought spread like poison. Rumors raced across channels. Perhaps there are fleets of these hidden. Perhaps Earth waits with hundreds of them. What if this is only a scout? The galaxy's greatest warriors had faced countless enemies, but never had one ship made them imagine an entire fleet. The fear of what could be was worse than the fear of what was. And the humans knew this. Inside their warship, the captain gave no sign of weakness. His eyes burned with focus. "Let them wonder," he said quietly. "Fear is a weapon sharper than any blade." The crew nodded. They understood. The aliens were already breaking. All they had to do was push harder. The humans struck again, this time not at the strongest ships, but at the weak points. Fuel carriers, supply ships, communication relays. With every precise hit, the enemy fleets grew more blind, more desperate, more divided. Alien commanders shouted orders, their voices panicked. Some demanded retreat. Others screamed for more firepower. The fleets were no longer united. Fear had done what no weapon could, it fractured them. The battlefield was no longer the same. Once, it belonged to the great alien empires. Now, it was the humans who controlled it. Not with numbers, not with size, but with fear. The young Zern officer, still watching from his post, whispered a truth that was spreading everywhere. "They are not a joke. They are the storm." And as the human ship's glow cut through the darkness once more, every alien eye turned toward it, not with laughter, but with dread. For the first time in history, the galaxy looked at humanity and saw not weakness, but terror. And the terror was only spreading. The battlefield burned brighter than any star. Explosions ripped across the void as alien ships fell, one after another. The once proud fleets, united in power and arrogance, were now breaking apart. And at the center of it all, the small human warship moved like a shadow, striking and vanishing, unstoppable. For every alien commander, the truth was becoming clear: this was no ordinary enemy. This was the beginning of something they could not control. Commander Rava of the Krell slammed his fist against the arm of his chair, his sharp teeth grinding in rage. "Enough!" he roared. "We outnumber them 1,000 to 1. Crush them!" His fleet surged forward. Dozens of destroyers moved into attack formation, weapons glowing with deadly light. They believed sheer force would finally end the human threat. But they were wrong. The human ship didn't run. It didn't even hesitate. Instead, it flew directly into the heart of the enemy formation. Inside, the captain's voice was calm. "Target their flagships first. Break their chain of command." His crew obeyed instantly. The ship's AI calculated every movement, predicting enemy fire with perfect precision. Each time the aliens fired, the human vessel was already gone, twisting between blasts, cutting through the chaos like a ghost. Then the humans struck. One shot. A flagship exploded. Another shot. A second flagship broke apart, torn into fragments. A third. A fourth. The chain of command shattered. Alien fleets screamed in confusion, their leaders gone in seconds. Ships drifted without orders, captains argued over channels, and formations collapsed. The battlefield that once looked like a wall of unstoppable fire now looked like scattered pieces of a broken puzzle. The turning point had come. On the Volari cruiser, a young officer's wings trembled as he watched the human ship weave between his people's best fighters. "They're not just fighting us," he whispered. "They're controlling the battle itself." And it was true. Every move the humans made shaped the fight. They didn't have numbers, but they had something stronger: control. They knew where to strike, when to strike, and how to use the enemy's panic against them. Fear had broken the fleets. Now, strategy would destroy them. On the Zern ship, the young officer who had warned his commander before stared with wide eyes. His voice was filled with both dread and awe. This is how humans fight. Not with power. With precision. With patience. With cunning. His commander said nothing. His silence was heavier than words. Across the battlefield, other alien species began to see the same. They had thought the humans weak. Now they saw them as predators. Small, yes, but deadly in ways no one had ever expected. The humans struck again, this time using the battlefield itself as a weapon. They lured ships into asteroid fields, forced enemies to fire on each other, and slipped between fleets like smoke. Every maneuver turned alien strength into weakness. For the first time in the history of Galactic War, The greatest empires were losing not to size, not to firepower, but to a single, tiny ship. And the galaxy was watching. Broadcasts of the battle spread across channels. Other species, neutral, silent observers, saw the truth. The humans were no longer the weakest. They were no longer outsiders. They were something far more dangerous. The Krell commander's voice cracked with fury. "Hold your ground. Do not let them win." But his words fell into chaos. His fleets were broken. His ships no longer obeyed. His soldiers fought not with courage, but with desperation. And desperation was the final sign of defeat. Inside the human warship, the captain finally allowed himself a breath. His voice was steady, but there was steel in his tone. "We've broken their line. Now we press the advantage." His crew moved faster. The ship struck harder. The battlefield shifted fully. What had begun as a joke had now turned into a nightmare for the aliens. The turning point was complete. The humans, mocked and underestimated, had taken control of the greatest battle in the galaxy. And as alien wreckage drifted across the void, every surviving commander whispered the same thought. If one ship can do this, what will happen when humanity builds a fleet? The answer filled them with dread. The galaxy had just witnessed the birth of a new power. And nothing would ever be the same again.